Hello and welcome to another video, and welcome to the read-along recap for Under the Greenwood Tree, the second book of the Thomas Hardy read-along, where we are reading all of Thomas Hardy's novels in publication order, one a month for 14 months. And if you're joining along, thank you so much for joining in. And if you haven't yet joined us and you think you might want to, it's never too late. You don't need to read all the books, you can just drop in and out whenever. All of the information will be in the description box below as always, including links to the introductory video, all of that good stuff. Now, before each month's book you will find an introductory video giving some basic information about the kind of thing that you are going to let yourself in for as well. And then every month I'm doing a little bit of a recap of our reading experience from the month before. So I'm going to start with a very quick summary of Under the Greenwood Tree. There won't be any spoilers in this video at all for anyone who just still wants to give it a go, and if you want to find out about our reading experience before you give it a go, this is the perfect place to do that. So I think if you would say that Thomas Hardy's first novel, Desperate Remedies, was all plot, then Under the Greenwood Tree is all vibes. Now that is to say, it is all about the characters. But one of the things that I think is really important to remember when you read the novel is that the location is also a character, and I would say it's actually the main character. This seems to be Hardy's kind of first, in print at least, experiment with the location of the southwest of England being a character in itself. It is so present on the page, and it's always the main thing that he's focusing on. I think that the main characters of Under the Greenwood Tree are often referred to as being two young people by the names of Fancy Day and Dick Dewey. These are great names. And the novel is often said to be a love story between these two, but really I don't think it is, and I think a lot of people found that when they read this as well. It is a love story about the countryside and the people who live there. It's a story about change, about modernity and tradition, with a really strong focus on the southwest way of life, and it's really a celebration of dialect as well. After we've finished reading every book, I'm going to put a poll up on our Discord to ask what people thought of it, and I'll try and wait a little bit of time, not directly at the end of the month, but just give people a little bit of time to finish the book before I put that up. And the poll for Under the Greenwood Tree, the results were that 29% of people loved it, 43% liked it, no one hated it, 21% thought it was fine, came out of 7% didn't finish. I think that's a really great result because this book is one of a small group of Hardy books that I was expecting not many people to like. So actually I'm really thrilled that a lot of people loved it and a lot of people really liked it as well. I think that one of the things that people said they had difficulty with was the language. There are large parts of it which are written in dialect, or written in ways that Hardy is trying to let you know how words are pronounced. I think even like with the audiobook, that can actually be quite difficult, and in fact I think some people said that they found it harder on audio than they did reading. They kept on having to slow down the audio because it was quite difficult to follow. I think sometimes the meaning of the words that Hardy is using isn't always clear, especially for those people who read it whose first language isn't English. I think it's amazing that so many people whose first language isn't English read it and loved it and was able to really get into that dialect. But it can be quite challenging, and I feel like maybe I should have warned people before we went in, but I kind of forgotten that that much was in there. So if you're going into it for the first time, just kind of remember like the way it was written. I think a lot of people said that they found it quite rewarding to look up like specific words and specific meanings, although I think there were a few wild goose chases that some people went on when they thought they were looking for a new word, but it was just a weird spelling that Hardy had used to just denote pronunciation. So I think just kind of beware of that if you're going in as well, because that's the experience that quite a few people had. So for those of you who I think are more interested in plot or in even stronger character development, it wasn't always a hit with everyone who read it. I think the best summary of this was someone who said, what a boring book. Maybe it could have been a good short story, but there just wasn't enough going on for a novel, even a very short one, and it is a very short novel. And in contrast, just, you know, balance that out, some people said they didn't find it boring, but they found it very charming and gentle, and I think that's a great description. It is quite charming, it is quite gentle. It can be quite boring though, because nothing happens. There is no plot to this. I mean, yeah, okay, things happen, but they're not really the thrust of the story. It is more the kind of the vibes that are of what's going on rather than actual plot. I think what you have with this novel is primarily a novel of character sketches where nothing really happens, there isn't anything going on. And I think if you go into it expecting that the main characters of Dick and Fancy are going to kind of feature quite heavily, then I think you're quite disappointed. Several people said that they thought it took too long to get around to their story, and I would agree with that, but I think the book is quite badly advertised when it's sold as being about those two characters, because then you do wait forever for them to turn up, and they turn up about kind of halfway through the book, or that's not true, they are a little bit earlier on, but their story together really gets going halfway through. So you spend ages thinking, well, this is their story, why aren't we getting around to it a bit sooner? And the reason is that it's not their story, actually. I think my feelings on this is that I don't think that at this stage of his novel writing career, Hardy had quite worked out how to blend these two elements of storytelling, because there seems to be such a disconnect between the story of these two lovers and the cast of characters and themes that he wants to talk about, and they seem like they're added as an afterthought, these main characters of Dick and Fancy. It almost seems like they were kind of tagged on because he was like, well, I need something to sell the novel, otherwise people won't buy this kind of pastoral description, which is pretty much what the novel is. I think they do sometimes feel like a little bit of an afterthought. That's not to say that they're not great characters and they're not an integral part of the story, but it can feel like you're reading something which has been sold as something different. You're reading something different from what's been sold, rather. I think the themes that you're going to see displayed prominently in future Hardy novels are also on full display in Under the Greenwood Tree, and they were picked up by many people. People commented about how they saw the themes of like the impact of modernisation on rural society, as well as the pressures that are put on young people, especially on women, to make what is ultimately a very bad decision in love or in marriage. Themes to do with keeping secrets or being honest to a romantic partner. Those are things that lots of people highlighted, and people who've read other Hardy novels said that they could see that those themes were going to come up again, and he's definitely starting to introduce those themes in this novel as well. Another aspect that I think many people noticed is the humour. I think there's a lot of humour in Hardy novels, and I think it often gets ignored. Some of it is accidental, like I think Desperate Remedies, his first novel, there's a lot of accidental humour. I don't think much of it is deliberate. It's sort of accidental funny scenes that you can kind of see being played comedically. But in Under the Greenwood Tree, there is quite a lot of great one-liners and great humour. A lot of it is very contextual, so I can't quote any, but just really great descriptions in the way that people talk. And when you're reading a whole scene of it, it is quite comical. And I think lots of other people also really picked up on this as well, so I was really, really happy that people spotted that. Several people actually said that they laughed out loud, as did I, so I'm really just I'm so touched that people had the same experience that I did. Not everyone saw the humour in it. Some people were just quite bored by it, but lots of people did see the humour. I think what most people did seem to agree on, though, was that the book is really a kind of a brilliant sort of evocative display of Hardy's love for the countryside. Someone called it a great poetic description of rural England, which is, I think, exactly what the book is. I don't think anybody, as far as I know, and do correct me if I'm wrong and I missed your comment, but I don't think anyone found a new favourite 5-star read or a new favourite Hardy novel. I think many people really enjoyed the reading experience of this kind of like rural Hardy to the max, because that is really what it is. And I mean, many people enjoyed rereading it. It was the third time that I'd read the book. I think I liked it even more than the previous 2 times I read it. Now, as we go through, I am kind of ranking my thoughts this time around, because it changes every time I read through all of his novels. I think that I prefer Under the Greenwood Tree to Desperate Remedies. So that's my order so far, because we've only read 2 so far, is that I would put Under the Greenwood Tree first and Desperate Remedies second. I think they're very different types of novels, so I think that probably tells you quite a lot about me as a reader and who I am and the kinds of books that I like. But I would love to know kind of which order, if you've read both of these, which ranking you would put them in. I think a lot of people preferred Desperate Remedies, but I'd love to know your thoughts. I really just want to finish again by thanking everyone who is taking part, everyone who is reading along with us. Like I've already said, if you want to join in and haven't yet, it's not too late. You can still catch up on the 2 books that we've read so far, and it is now into August and we are reading our 3rd book, but you can just skip those and just join in with whichever books you want. The Discord is still there, the Patreon is still there. All of the links are in the description box below. The next Hardy book that we are reading in August is A Pair of Blue Eyes. It's again, I think, a lesser known Hardy. So if you've not started it yet and you're wondering if you should, you can find my introduction video to that. The link will be in the description box below. And that is all for now. I will be back soon with another video, and until then, thank you so much for watching.